All right, now let's look at finalizing this mini intro screen for our profile page. I now have a button that fades in and has 3 states: over, down, and out. Since we're able to do that, let's now make something happen once I click on my button. What's going to happen is my profile page is going to slide into screen. Therefore, I'm going to create a new layer, and I'll call this profile page. This is all being done on my root timeline, so on my scene 1. This is not in my movie clip. Alright, so just a little bit after my first animation of my button, I'm going to insert a keyframe. You're going to see that I have a black canvas. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my background that I created in my Photoshop file onto my stage. For my animation, what I plan on doing is once I click on the button, the ground is going to scroll down, revealing my profile page. How to accomplish that? I'm going to first create that animation and then I'll make it interactive. So if I go here, this is where I want my background to reside at the end. I'm going to make this a movie clip, so I'm going to convert it to a symbol. I can call this background if I want, BG. And then inside this background, I'm just going to go into that timeline. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm just going to drop my b-boy pose and b-boy stall, sorry. On a new layer, I'm going to add now my shadow. Just going to drag that down. There you go. So I have my silhouette and my shadow on their own layers with my background in the back. Why I did that now, you'll see if I go back to my root timeline, I can move my movie clip and it moves all 3. They're kind of like grouped. So that's ideal in this situation. So my next step would be I'm going to make this animate over, let's say, 20 frames about. So I'm going to go to frame 50. I'm going to insert a keyframe. So at frame 50, that's where I want my background to reside. At frame 30, I'm going to select it, and I'm going to use my arrow keys and scroll it up. I'm going to scroll it up to about there. Ideally, it should be at about the same position as this one. I'm just going to zoom in here to get a better view. So I just need to bring that up a bit. Just down a little bit. There you go. So it's at the same level, but now at frame 50, it's all the way on screen. So all I have to do now, since it's a movie clip and I have 2 keyframes, I can make that animation really easily by just right-clicking and going Create Classic Tween. And there you'll see that I now have that animation, which is butter. So my goal is, once I click on this button, this is going to scroll down. Once it's completely scrolled down, I'm going to reveal the text of my name. So on a new layer again, I'm going to create a new layer. I'll just call this name. I'm going to insert a blank keyframe or a keyframe, doesn't matter here, because I don't have anything on this layer anyway. So if I inserted a keyframe, it would just be creating a replica of an empty keyframe. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to drag my title onto my stage. So my screen goes down, and then I'm just going to make my title appear at the end here. I'm just going to make it at the end when it's all the way down, it's going to appear. All right. So if we see what we got my fading in button, and then it stops. Here I have my code to make my button look interactive. And then right after, I have my silhouette background dropping and then my name appearing. On this actions layer, I'm going to go to the end of my animation. I'm going to create a keyframe. I'm going to open my actions panel, and I'm just going to make a stop. You'll see in this case that why I did that was that when it plays, I want it to stop. I don't want it to go back to the start. Flash automatically loops your timelines, so if I didn't do anything, it would just go back. It would just go round and around in a loop. But now that I stop it, now we're good. Okay, so let's start adding the last little bit of functionality. So I have my button, and then I have my background scrolling down, and then my button just disappears. That's not ideal. I'm going to make my button scroll down with, so I'm just going to hide this layer. I'm going to make my button scroll down off stage with the animation of the background. So I'm just going to create a classic tween, and I'm going to bring this button to the top. So what happens now, I'm going to unhide this layer. So what's going to happen now is it's going to play, and then it's going to scroll off stage, and then it's going to be completely off stage. It's going to stop, and then my name is going to appear. So that's good. That's what I'm looking for. Now let's just add a bit of code. So I have my code here on my first keyframe that does the interaction with my button. If we look at the mouse down button, if we look at this code, we're going to copy a complete frame. So I'm going to copy one of the chunks and I'm going to paste it. And I want this to be mouse up. So that means after I click my mouse down, after I click down and I release it, I'm going to trigger my up function. And what that's going to do is, I don't want it to go and stop my button MC. I want it to just stop. I just want it to go to and play my frame 31. But I'm going to show you guys a different trick too. You can also insert keyframes. And then in my properties panel, I have the ability to label a frame. So I'm just going to name this animation. So now in my code, instead of go to and play frame 1, I'm going to say go to and play animation. This is pretty much just a marker, but what this allows me to do easily is, let's say further along, I don't want to go, like let's say I change my animation and I don't want to go and count which frame I'm at. Like if I select here, it's going to tell me what frame I'm at. I can just move this marker anywhere, and that's where the animation is going to start. So this is just a cleaner way, especially if you have a more complex file, to target a certain frame. So let's see what happens now once I publish. It's It's giving me an error. Right here it's saying duplicate function definition. So that's okay. I made a mistake, but that's a good way to learn. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit go to source. That is going to let me know where the error is. So what it's telling me is that I have a duplicate function. I have an out function here and an out function here. I can't have two functions doing the same thing, or it's going to be confused as to which one it should run. So I named this up function here, so I'm just going to name it up function, and then that should resolve this error. So now if I go Control Enter to publish, I'm just going to show all. So I have my button. I can scroll over it and out. And then now when I click on it, it's going to be down. And if I let go, it's going to play my animation.